Please be seated. The court is now back in session. We are now going to hear the statement of suffering and harm by another civil party, that is through TCCP 256. And court officer, could you invite the civil party into the courtroom? President, good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. What is your name? Civil Party, my name is Vanna. President, thank you, Madam Vanna. And do you recall your date of birth? Answer. I was born in October 1967. Question, where is your current address? Answer, I live in Thnong Ralung village, Liebo commune, Tramkot district, Takeo province. Question, what is your current occupation? Answer, I am a rice farmer. Question, can you tell the chamber the names of your father and mother? Answer, my father is Chok and my mother is Non Pait. Question, what is your husband's name and how many children do you have? Answer, his name is Niang Supon and we have 4 children together. President, thank you. And Madam Vanna, as a civil party in this case, the chamber will give you an opportunity to make a statement of suffering and harm inflicted upon you, namely physical, material, or mental injuries, which are as direct consequences of those crimes and which resulted in your civil party application. And this is in relation to the crimes which are alleged against the 2 accused Nuon Chi and Khieu Sampon, and which happened during the Democratic Cambodia period, that is from the 17th April 1975 to the 6th January 1979. And Madam Chai Parinat is a TPO staff to lend her assistance to this civil party during her testimony on suffering and harm. And as requested by the lead co-lawyers for civil parties, the floor will be given to the lead co-lawyers first to put questions to this civil party regarding harms and sufferings. The floor is yours. lawyer for civil parties. Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, Mr. President and your honors. And good afternoon, Madam Vanna. My name is Hong Kum Soon, representing civil parties. I'm also a lawyer in case 002, representing the civil parties in this case. You just stated about your current address. And can you also tell the chamber your place of birth? Answer. My place of birth is the same that is in Thnung Relung village, Libo commune, Tramkot district, Takeo province. Question. Before the Democratic Cambodia period took control of the country, where did you live? Answer. I lived in Takeo province. Question. And can you tell a little bit more details? Was it at a provincial town or in a particular commune or village? President, Madam Vanna, please observe the microphone before you respond. Answer. I was living in the provincial town of Takeo province. Question. And when the Khmer Rouge entered the provincial town of Takeo, were you allowed to live at the same place or were you moved elsewhere? Answer. When the Khmer Rouge arrived, they chased us away from the provincial town and we walked on foot to Chơ Tiel, a village, Tramkot, in Takeo province. Question. So you were moved to Chơ Tiel village in Tramkot district, and later on were you moved elsewhere? Answer. The unit chief of Chơ Tiel village moved us to Ong Norie village in Libo commune, Tramkot district, Takeo province. Question. And can you recall when that happened? Answer. It was in mid-1975. Question. Why didn't you and your family members return to your native village? Answer. Because we were forced to go there and we could not go to our native village. Question. And when you moved to Ong Norie village, what were you assigned to do? Answer. When I arrived at Ong Norie village, I was living together with my parents and siblings. And by 1976, I was separated and I was placed into a unit, a mobile unit for children at the Liebo Pagoda. Question. Can you provide a little bit details as to as whether you were placed into a mobile unit or a children mobile unit? Answer. The children mobile unit was not part of the cooperative. It was a separate unit. And there were actually two units. And for the mobile unit, children which is age from 8 would be put into the mobile unit. Question. And did you volunteer to join that mobile unit? Answer, no, I did not volunteer. We were forced to join that unit and we were not allowed to stay at home. Question, you said that they, whom are you referring to when you were moved to the children unit? Answer, people who I was forced to join that unit by Tavat. He was the unit chief. Question, which village? Answer, it was Ongnorie village. Let me repeat, the village chief of Ongnorie named Tavat. Question, when that village chief sent you to the children mobile unit, where was that unit based, if you can recall? Answer, the children mobile unit was based at District 105, Sector 13. That's all I can recall. Question, District 105 or Sector 13, do you know the actual name for this numerical representation or assignment for the district and sector? Answer, it was for a Tramkot district. Question, what were you assigned to do when you were in the children mobile unit? Answer, we were assigned to carry earth for the dam building together with, to work there together with the women's unit. Question, can you describe a little bit about the location of where you work in the building of that dam? Answer, I was assigned to carry earth for building a dam called Prey Thiet, and it was in Libo commune. Question, can you tell the chamber a bit about the working condition there? Were you assigned to any specific jobs or tasks? Answer, we were assigned to carry earth starting from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11:30 at noon, and if we didn't complete the work plan, then we would be deprived of food. A group of 10 children had to finish 10 cubic meter, and sometimes we could complete it, and some other times we could not. If the earth is soft, for the whole day, from morning till late evening, we could complete the work quota. And if the earth was hard, then we could not, and then we will be deprived of gruel. Question, you said that your group, the children, had to work there, and the work quota for you was 10 cubic meters. Can you provide a bit more details on this, as I didn't get it? Answer, a group of us comprised of 10 children. Question, and you stated that if you could not complete the work quota, you would not be given rice or gruel. Were you actually given like cooked rice or gruel? Answer. We were given only a gruel. There was no cooked rice for us. Question. And could you eat at your own fill? Answer. No, the food was never sufficient because we were given only a gruel, a ladder of gruel each. Question. And when you could not eat your own fill, what else? What did you do? Did you try to find other food to eat? Answer. Yes, I did. Sometimes we were so starving, we seek permission to go to the nearby bushes to relieve ourselves. But in fact, we went to pick some tree leaves that is from Tnang tree, and we ate those leaves because we were so starving. Question. Were you allowed to find additional food by your unit chief or supervisor? Answer. No. And if they found out that we picked the tree leaves, then we would be arrested and beaten. And actually, we did it without letting them know. Question. So you said if you were caught, then you would be tortured. And were you ever caught? Answer. Yes. I was beaten, I was tortured. At that time, I sought permission to go to visit my parents. And in fact, we were allowed only once a month to do home visit. But then, because I miss my parents a lot, I ran to visit them, and I was caught and I was beaten. Question. When you said you were tortured or mistreated, can you actually describe what happened? Answer. I was beaten and I was tortured because at night time they would go and count our heads, and if they couldn't find us, then we would be in trouble. But usually I would go back at around 3 o'clock in the morning, as the head counting was at 5. And one time I was caught when I returned, and I was asked where I had been, and I told them I went to visit my parents, and they said don't waste any time because my parents did not benefit from me visiting them, and then I would be in trouble if I broke or I violated the discipline again. And if someone got caught, then that person will be arrested and beaten up. And that was the case that happened to me. I was caught and beaten up under the order of the unit chief. Question. Did you know who gave that authority to the unit chief? Was it from the village chief or from the military chief? Answer. My unit chief was a female by the name of Saru. Question. So when you were arrested and tied up, can you describe a little bit about what happened next? Was you beaten with a whip or a clap, for example? Answer. After they arrested me, they beat me up, and that happened for the first time, and then for the second time, and for the third time, I became seriously ill. I had a very high temperature. It was a bad fever. It happened day and night, and I sought the permission to rest, but I was not allowed to rest. And I went to seek for some medicine, and I was not given any except just a powder from cassava. And then my mother gave me some boiled some boiled water from tree leaves. And then I was caught again by another person for not working but drinking that traditional herb. Then I was arrested, tied against a tree, and beaten up. And at that time there were 20 young children there. I was beaten up while I was seriously ill. And they not only use their hands to beat me up, they use bamboo clubs with the nails attached to beat me up physically, and there are scars remained on my body. I was tied up to the tree until the morning, and when the morning came, I saw blood all over my body. I felt so pity for myself. When I was in this trouble, I wanted the comfort of my parents, but they were nowhere near me. I shouted, asking for my parents, but nobody came to help me. Only those who actually mistreated me were there. I kept thinking of my parents, of another person who looked after me when I was away from my parents. And about once a month, that man came to me to give me food that he could obtain, that he could find. And he consoled me not to weep and tried to work as hard as I could so that Angka would not take me away and kill. Questioned. I also share the suffering that you just described. And do you know the name of the man who actually helped you and who gave you that food? Answer. His name was Ahmad, and he was sadly killed by the Khmer Rouge clique. Question. You said Ahmad. As you said, Ahmad was your other brother. He was taken away and killed by the Khmer Rouge. How did you know that? Answer. When I recovered from the illness, I could go, and then I stole a piece of a cassava, and then at lunchtime, I went to the place where he worked to look for him, and I couldn't see him at his workplace, so I asked people around, and I asked a villager there by the name of Sawan, where my brother was. Then the person told me quietly that my brother was requested by the unit chief to go away on a vehicle, and I asked where he was taken to, and the person said he did not know, but he was put on a vehicle taken to the west direction. Counsel. In your victim information form, that is document D22/86, ERN 003534, 49-60, and in English ERN is 00450336. And another document that is D22/86A, and it only exists in the Khmer language. I'd like to clarify a little bit about your victim information form, you stated that your brother disappeared or was arrested because he was requested by the unit chief, as you just told the court. And do you know the reason for his arrest? Answer. I asked that man, Sowan, and another man by the name of Tal, and I asked them what wrongdoings did my brother make, and I was told that he was accused one time that while he was stressing the rice at night time, he accidentally laid his hand on the hand of another woman, and he was charged that he committed a moral misconduct. Question. So in your supplementary information form, that is document D22/86A, on the second page, you stated that your brother was arrested as he was a former Tribunal soldier. Can you tell the chamber if there is any discrepancy in your statement? Answer. Initially, I did not know that my brother was a former Tribunal soldier, and I only knew that he was accused of committing moral misconduct. Only later on, my mother told me that that was not the reason for his arrest, and the real reason for his arrest was that he was a former Tribunal soldier. For that reason, I submitted a supplementary information form with this additional information. Question. So when you fill in your victim information form with the assistance of the DCCAM, you told them that the reason for your brother's arrest was because of allegation that he committed a moral misconduct, but later on you learned from your mother that the real reason was because he was a former Tribunal soldier. Am I correct in summing up this statement? Answer. Yes, my mother told me about that my brother had been monitored for quite some time, but they could not find any pretext to arrest him. So when they could find a pretext to arrest him, they accused him of being that and then taking him away. Question. You also stated in your application that your brother might be taken to be detained at the Krang Tachan prison. Can you tell the chamber when did you learn about the Krang Tachan prison? Answer. At that time, I did not know where Krang Tachan was. And only later on, when people from Srok Leu, or from the upper part of Cambodia, told me about the Krang Tachan prison, and then my brother was taken there. That's why I knew about it. President interrupt. The civil party lawyer, you only have 10 more minutes. And if the civil party has questions to be put to the accused, you can instruct her to do so through the bench.
The people who knew the Krang Tachan prison and the way the people were brought to this prison, and it's thanks to this that you came up with such a conclusion. Is that the case? Yes, people told me this. As my brother had been taken to the west, to the Krang Tachang prison over there. So during the religious ceremonies, I used to make offerings twice a year to the monks. Question. I would like to put questions to you regarding your experience under the Khmer Rouge regime. Your unit chief asked you to find or to pick up cow dung and to dig pits. So, can you tell us what happened? In 1977, at the end of 1977, I was tasked with digging holes, and if I could not reach the quota, I was told that I would not be fed. And in terms of cow dung, I had to fill up 10 bags. Otherwise, I would also not be fed. It is because I was able to do my job because I went to see my older relatives who would raise cattle. Question. You said that when you were performing your duties, you saw militiamen take people away for execution. Can you give us a few more details about that? When I went to cut trees next to the site pagoda in Klong village, I saw 7 militiamen take 15 prisoners away. We were a group divided into 2, a group of 10. So we scattered to pick fruit in Rattan, and we saw militiamen take people away. 3 militiamen with clubs and 5 with rifles. And these militiamen were very short. They could barely carry their rifles, but we were so afraid of them. We hid in bushes about 20 meters away from the execution site, and I saw them beat on the nape victims, and the victims were weeping and yelling, and we were so afraid. I even fainted, and everyone became quiet to avoid being spotted by the militiamen. I saw blood being shed everywhere in the forest. Question. Now I would like to speak about your suffering. After the Khmer Rouge regime, after having lived through the Khmer Rouge regime, what are your impressions? How is your health? Answer, I'm always ill. I wasn't able to go to school. I only reached 4th grade. Since I'm always ill and since my parents were old, I wasn't able to go to school. Question. With regard to your loved ones, whom can't you forget? Answer. I think about everyone. I miss everyone. I lost my brother, my older brother, he would always steal things from me. He would come visit me much more often than my other brothers and sisters. Question. Are you a bit relieved each time you think about your loved ones who disappeared? Or each time you think about them, you suffer even more? Answer. Each time I think about the death of my brothers and sisters and about the torture I underwent, it is as if all of this happened yesterday. Question. Do you have any requests to make? Do you have any questions to put to the accused? But if you do, you have to do it through the president. So do you have any questions or requests? Answer. Mr. President, I have a request indeed. I would like justice to be done, and I would like the perpetrators of these crimes to be sentenced for life. And I also have another request, which is to have my lawyer make sure that the reparations are made. Question. Do you have any other questions to ask? Answer, no. Question. Thank you, civil party. Thank you, Mr. President. I have no further questions. National Co-Prosecutor, you now have the floor, says the President. Mr. President, your honors, says the National Co-Prosecutor, I would like to request a bit of clarification from you regarding the fact that you saw 7 militiamen taking away 15 prisoners to execute them. I would like to know in which cooperative you were at when that happened. Answer. I was in the mobile unit which was located to the north of the railway in the district of Rokarknong. Question. That means that you were transferred from Norye village to Rokarknong village. Is that true? Answer. Yes, indeed. I was transferred from Norye village to Rokarknong village because over there was a lot of snake root. So you were therefore assigned to pick snake root, or you were incorporated into your mobile unit on a permanent basis? Answer. Yes, I was part of the mobile unit, and I was a member, a full rights member. Question. How far is Norye village from Rokarknong village? Answer. About 30 kilometers. Question. Regarding the food rations you spoke about earlier, when you said that you were only given rice porridge, I would like you to describe this rice porridge more in detail. Answer. The rice porridge that I would get when I was in the unit was very thin. It was really very, very thin. And sometimes there was also water lily soup. Question. So when you did not reach the quota, you were not fed. Is that correct? So I'd like to know if you were completely deprived of food or if your ration was simply reduced. Answer. Well, in reality, I was only allowed to have soup at lunch, and I wasn't allowed to have any dinner in the evening. When we were deprived of food, we would go look for sweet potatoes in the fields where old people were working, and if there was no fire to cook these sweet potatoes, we would just eat them raw. Question. Now, with regard to the working conditions, you would work from 6 in the morning to 11:30, and back then would you only work in the morning and not during the afternoon? Answer. In the afternoon, I would work until 5:30. Question. Did you have to work in the evening as well? Answer. Yes. Sometimes the children had to dig pits to plant coconut trees. Question. So, digging pits to plant coconut trees. So, did you consider that an easy task or something that was acceptable for children of your age? Answer. Well, digging pits to plant coconut trees was difficult because we had to do that from 6:30 in the evening to 10 o'clock in the evening, and it was absolutely necessary to do this job, so it was really too much. But we did not dare complain and refused to do the job. Question. So you did this job for how long? Answer. Well, I was in charge of digging these pits for almost 1 full month. Well, we had 2 to 3 days when we wouldn't work in a month. And you're speaking about which mobile unit? Was this in a mobile unit that was located in which village? Answer. I'm speaking about the mobile unit of Chray village. Question. I'm speaking about the night work that you had to do. And I'd like to know in which cooperative you were at the time. So must I understand that you had to do this night work during the entire Khmer Rouge regime, or was this only for a certain period of time? Answer. I was asked to dig pits to plant coconut trees in Shrem village. Question. Aside from that cooperative in Shrem, were you also obliged to work at night? Answer. Yes. I was transferred to Kna village, and during the day I had to pick snake root and pick up cow dung, and in the evening indeed we had to dig pits to plant coconut trees. Question. So this work was or would last, you did this work for the entire Khmer Rouge. That means that during the entire Khmer Rouge you had to work night and day. Is that the case? Yes, I had to work night and day. Question. In the unit you spoke about earlier on, when you worked in this unit, you said you were arrested, tied up, and beaten by children of the same unit, and I'd like to know why they beat you. Answer. Well, they were entitled to beat me because the unit chief ordered them to beat me. Question. So you mean that the other children in your unit had to beat you? That they were ordered to beat you by the unit chief? Answer. In this unit there were 100 children, but there were only about 20 of them who beat me. Question. Why were you punished in that way? Answer. Because I asked for leave to go visit my mother who was ill, and I fled. I went home secretly. Question. Would you often be tortured in this way during the Democratic Kampuchea regime? Answer. Yes. This happened quite often. But the other children also were tortured in that way, but to a different extent. Question. The 20 or so children who were appointed to beat you, which category did they belong to? And the children who were tortured, which category did they belong to? Answer. The base people children were entitled to beat the new people children. Question. So this means that the other children who were being tortured in that way were all new people children. Is that the case? Answer. Yes. Those who were tortured were all new people children. In document D22/86 Khmer Iran 0035, you said that about 10 other children had been tortured in that way because of vengeance. Were there other reasons for this torturing, and what were the forms of retribution you are speaking about?
We've been hearing now for almost 55 minutes very detailed evidence. I'm looking at the clock. I know there's one civil party still on schedule. Are we now supposed to ask questions in the next 10 minutes to be able to counter a little bit or a piece of this evidence? This civil parties testified to so many different things. There's no way we can do this in the next 10 or 15 minutes if the prosecution would still continue. So I'm at a loss here. You've been instructing, I think, for 7 times now, the civil party lawyers and the prosecution to focus only on suffering and impact, but we've been hearing almost always detailed evidence. And if you only will allow us now 10 or 15 minutes, we might as well not ask any questions. So I think, again, this is not the appropriate way of proceeding in this matter.
So,
sorry, this will be my last question, in fact. Please proceed. Let me remind you of my question, which is, what do you mean by hatred and vengeance? Answer. The base people children who hated us, or they hated us because we arrived there only around 1973, 1974, and we were children of soldiers and officers or officials. And, well, in fact, we arrived only in 1975, in fact, and we were new people, and they hated us. They were always looking for the small fault in order to beat us. Prosecutor, I have no further questions. Nuncia, Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
But the rounding up of questions by the prosecution doesn't necessarily answer the questions that we asked. Do we now only have 5 or let's say 10 minutes, or how many minutes do we have? If you say we only have 10 minutes, I might as well sit down and don't ask any questions.
Counsel, how long would you need if you ask all the questions you deem relevant to this part of the trial?
Well, in theory, not in theory, in practice, everything that this witness has said, testified to is relevant.
How much time do you need?
I don't know, 45 minutes. It's the same time as the prosecution and civil parties together. That's even less, by the way.
And the Krisampang defense?
Well, I have very few questions to put, Mr. President.
បាទអង្គជំរះសម្រាប់ឲ្យផ្ដល់ពេលវេលា
The chamber has decided to grant 45 minutes to the defense, to the two defense teams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. I have a number of questions to ask to you. First, I would like to ask you some more details about your unit chief. You said that her name was Saru. What else can you tell us about her?
Well, in fact, her name was not Sarun, but Saru.
My pronunciation, but I meant Saru. Can you tell us some more about this unit chief?
Answer. My unit chief Saru obliged us to work day and night.
My question was not relating to what she made you do, but my question was as to who this person was. Can you give us some more details? Her age, her full name, was she a member of the Communist Party of Cambodia? All those details.
Answer. I do not know that person's full name. Her name was Saru, and I do not know her family name.
How old was she?
At that time, I did not know how old she was.
Approximately.
I could say she was about 54 to 55 years old, if as of now, if she is still living.
I'm not so good at math. Would she be 15, 20 at the time?
At that time, she was about 15 years old.
Do you know whether she had parents?
Yes, she did.
Do you know whether they were members of the CPK?
The mother of the unit chief, Saru, was a cook.
Have you ever seen Saru speak to other Khmer Rouge cadres or CPK cadres?
As I was concentrating on my work, I did not see that.
Did you ever hear others speak about people giving her instructions what to do with her unit?
No, I did not know about that. When there was an order, then the unit chief would be called to the meeting, and we, the member, did not know anything about that.
Did you ever see other Khmer Rouge cadres in the company of Saru when you were at work?
Yes, there was Saram, who was the direct superior of Saru.
Sarem, you said? And who was Sarem? Sarem.
Saram was the direct superior of Saru, and this person was overall in charge of the children.
And can you tell us some more about Sarai? Who was he?
Saram was the chief, overall chief. That's all I knew. Saram was overall in charge of the 200 children. Saru was in charge of 100 children, and another person, Mom, was in charge of another 100 of the children.
And this Saraim and Saru, were they the unit chief and the people in charge through 75 up until the end of 78?
I came to the unit in 1976, and I remained there with them until 1979, when the Vietnamese arrived and we separated from one another.
You were telling us earlier about an incident that you were beaten. Can you tell us a bit more about this incident? When exactly, or when approximately did this happen?
I was beaten up in late 1977.
And was Saru, together with Saraim, were they present when this happened?
When I was being tortured, Saram in fact ordered Saru to find me and arrest me, and then Saru ordered the best people to arrest me.
So when you were beaten, it was both Saru and Saraim who were present. Is that correct?
Sometimes they were there, and sometimes they were not, and I was not beaten up only for one time. It was several times.
And do you know whether Saraim was in contact with his superiors?
No, I did not know about that.
Do you know if Saru or Saraim were ever punished for mistreating you and others within the unit?
No, they were not.
How do you know?
Because I did not see them being tortured.
Did you always know where they were?
I knew Saru was in Sema village and Saram was in Kna village.
Let me turn to another topic, Madam Civil Party. That is your earlier testimony about your brother. I believe you said earlier that your mother had told you that your brother had been monitored for a while and that they just needed a pretext to have him arrested. Is that an accurate summary of what you just said?
Yes, that is correct.
Did your mother ever tell you how she knew that your brother was monitored?
I did not know about that because she was ill, staying at home, and then people came to the house and asked her about what kind of jobs that the children did.
Do you know whether it was known within the cooperative or the commune or the district what the background was of your brother?
Yes, they did. They knew that he was a Lunala soldier.
And do you know when they knew that? Right from the beginning, right after 17 April 1975?
I did not know as to when.
Let me ask it a different way. Did they know for quite a while already, before he was arrested, that he had been a Lone Nol soldier?
They knew about that, and then they came to ask my mother, but my mother did not tell them, and they also asked the neighbors. And at that time, I did not know what they asked my mother, and only later on, when I made the application as a victim, as a civil party in this case, I went to ask my mother about that, and then she told me the reason for his arrest, that he was a former soldier and not just because of the moral misconduct.
Do you know whether he had any rank within the Lone Nol army, your brother?
No, I did not know the rank.
Did you know what his activities were, what he had done in the Lone Nol army?
No, I did not.
Have you ever seen him before 1975 in a uniform.
Yes, I did.
So there's no doubt as to the fact that he was a soldier within the Lon Nol Army. That is correct, Madam Civil Party.
Yes.
Did you know if he told the local authorities after 17 April 75 in his biography that he had been a Lon Nol soldier?
No, he did not. President, the Deputy International Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Merci. La réponse a déjà été donnée, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understood that the defense would need 45 minutes, but they are inviting the civil party to speculate on things that they didn't know, because the civil party was only 8 at a time. I think we have very little time left, and we have another civil party. May I request that the Defense Counsel ask relevant questions? We have only 10 minutes left, and we would wish that he should ask questions that are useful and relevant to the manifestation of the truth.
If I may respond, Mr. President, I think these are quite relevant questions, because I heard her say that her brother had been monitored for a while, and that they needed a pretext to have him arrested. This could indicate that the mere fact that her brother was a Lon Nol soldier was not a reason to be arrested, which goes directly to the question whether a policy existed in relation to Lon Nol soldiers and officials. And reiterating the fact that it was the prosecution and the civil parties who had 45 minutes of requesting testimony, and you granting us already 45 minutes as well, that I think I'm entitled to ask these questions to the civil party.
President, the objection is overruled, and Counsel, you may proceed.
I believe maybe you answered the question already, Madam Civil Party, but you said, I think, that he hadn't told in his biography that he had been a Lon Nol soldier. Did I understand your answer correctly?
Yes.
Was it subsequently later known whether he had served in the army? Was that known with the local authorities?
Later on, they knew about it after they did the research. They asked the cousins and they asked the neighbors about that.
I understand. And is it your testimony that your mother said that they nevertheless needed a pretext to have him arrested?
Yes.
And how did your mother know that simply having been a Lon Nol soldier was not enough to be arrested?
She was not aware of that.
But then I'm asking my earlier question, how did your mother know that he had been monitored for a while and that they only needed the pretext to have him arrested?
She knew about it because she had some of her relatives who were the base people.
I'm looking at the clock, Mr. President. It's time for a break, or should I continue?
President, it is now convenient to take a break. We take a break now and return at 3 o'clock. Court officer, please assist the civil party during this short break and invite her back into the court room together with the TPO staff at 3 o'clock. The court is now in recess.